I'm going to show you how to set up guided access on your Apple iPad. Guided access is an accessibility feature that is great for users who need to be limited in what they can access in an app or as far as setting up time limits that users can use an app. So, in order to use guided access, first you must turn it on in your accessibility features menu. So, you need to go to the settings option, which is on the bottom of my screen. When you select that, you'll be brought to the General Settings menu, and we need to go into the Accessibility menu, which is about halfway down the screen. Once you're in the Accessibility menu, you want to scroll all the way to the bottom of the screen. Guided Access is the second item from the bottom, and you're going to select that. Next, you're going to turn Guided Access on. Once you turn it on, you'll have some options. The first is passcode settings. So what you want to do is you're going to go in and you're going to set your guided access passcode. When you do that, it will ask you to type in a passcode. I'm just going to use an easy one today. 1, 2, 3, 4. After that, it will ask you to re-enter your passcode. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now your passcode is set. When you're using this with students, you want to make sure you don't give out the passcode, and you also want to make sure you don't use a simple passcode such as 1, 2, 3, 4 that's easy to guess. So back into our guided access menu, now I can select whether I want to set time limits. And when I select a time limit, it just allows me to choose whether it's going to play a sound or speak a message to let the user know that the time limit has been reached. So I'm going to select it to play a sound, and you can select lots of different things. I'm just going to select this one. So I'm going to go back to my guided access, and I'm also going to turn this on to my accessibility shortcut. So now that I have guided access set up, I'm going to go back into an app. And I already have this one set up. So this is a game that I want a student to play, but I only want them to play for a few minutes, and I also don't want them to change anything on this game. So I'm going to use guided access to limit what they can do. So I am going to, because I selected guided access and set it up on my accessibility shortcut, I'm going to triple click my home button, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to select guided access. Now when I select that, it gives me the options to set up my guided access. So on the bottom left of my screen, if I select options, that allows me to choose the buttons that the student will have access to. So if I don't want them to be able to turn it on or off, I can turn on the sleep wake button. If I, turn off the sleep wake button. So if these items are selected, that means the student will have access to them. If they are not, then that means they are turned off and the student cannot use those items. If I turn off the touch, then the student will not be able to touch the screen and access anything. If you have a student who you want to simply watch something on the iPad and not really interact with it, then that's a great way to do that so they don't get into other things. But if you want the student to actually use the app, then you're going to have to be careful about turning off the touch. The final thing over on the right is the time limit. So I am going to set a time limit. I'm going to turn my time limit on, and then I'm going to set a time limit for 1 minute for this example. The other thing I don't want my student to do is I don't want them to access the settings of this app because I want them to do just the items that are on the screen currently. So in order to turn that off, I use my finger, and you can see the settings icon on the top right portion of the orange screen, and I am going to just circle that and watch what happens when I circle it. So I'm just using my finger to put a circle around that. And what happens in guided access is now it creates an overlay that is grayed out. So now when I click start on guided access at the top right, I'm into guided access, and now if I try to click that settings cog, I know you can't see this, but I am touching it right now with my finger, and it's not doing anything because I can't access that. That grayed out portion is showing that that is not something on the screen that I can touch that will work. Now I can still go in and I can do my matching game. I can do my game and I can go through. My guided access is started. So as a student, I'm playing my game. I'm doing exactly what my teacher wants me to do. And when my time limit is reached, then guided access will play a noise and it will stop my access to this app. So I'm going to let this run so that we can get to the point where my time limit is reached. It was only a minute, so hopefully that will come up. And there it is. So time has expired. So my guided access time limit has reached, and now I know again you can't see this, but I am touching the screen and I can't access any of the screen. Now, in order to get back into the screen, I need to triple click my home button. 1, 2, 3. And it asks me to enter my passcode. So I'm going to enter my 1, 2, 3, 4. And now it lets me go back in and I can select end on the top left and end guided access completely. I can give my student another minute by selecting resume, or I can go down and say, well, a minute wasn't very much, so I want to give you 4 minutes. Or I can turn the timer off and say, just go ahead and finish the game. I can also, if I want, remove the barriers I created. So on the top right of the screen, if I do want to give the student access to the settings menu, all I do is I select the little X, it takes that away, and I can then hit resume. And now if the student is in here, I can touch that and have access to that menu. Now, like I said, because I connected it to my accessibility shortcut, I can turn guided access on and off quickly by a triple click of my home button. If you don't connect that, then you will have to go into the settings menu to turn guided access on and off. But that is guided access, and it's a great way to help monitor and control the things that your students are doing on the iPads.